Hi everyone, I'm the Gnome, and today I'd like to insult everyone who likes sports that isn't football, because I'm sick. I'm sick of summer with no football on, women's football doesn't count, and sick of other sports getting all the paper attention. We've had rugby in the press, we've had tennis, and we've now got cricket. Boring as shit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you why I love football so much, and I'm going to tell that by insulting as many other sports as possible. So, first of all, fuck solo sports. I want to support a team. I don't want to support an individual. Because why? What connection do I have with that individual? Yes, well done, Annie Murray. You've won Wimbledon. I'm super happy for you. But why should I support him? He's not from anywhere around here. He's got no connection to kind of my local area, and it's because he's British. Well, fan dabbadozy. Technically Scottish, so I don't really mind Scots too much. So I really can't get behind supporting an individual person when they've got no connection to me and my day-to-day role. Now, yes, I hear you argue the teams such as Newcastle or even Arsenal or Chelsea are full of foreign people who have got no connection to Newcastle whatsoever. At least they all live around here, and at least they kind of train just down the road from where I work, and at least they wear the local colours steeped with history, and at least they play around here in home games. So it gives me somewhere to go on a Saturday when I've got nothing else to do, which is pretty much most Saturdays. So screw individual sports where it's just individuals, because I don't care. The one slight exception maybe was the Olympics, where it was exciting to see, but at least they were representing the country. Who does Annie Murray represent? He represents his sponsors, and that's it. At least under the Olympics, and Annie Murray won the gold in the Olympics. He was representing Britain at that point. You know what? I'm aware of Britain. I know where that is. It's just down here. It's literally down here. Britain is under here. So that's why I can cheer Mo Farah on. I can cheer Greg Rutherford on. I can cheer Kelly Holmes on if we go a bit old school. But would I rock up on a regular basis? No. Would I go and see athletics on a regular basis, despite the Gator Athletic Stadium being just down the road? No, of course I wouldn't, because I don't give a shit. So secondly, fuck rugby. You know what? Here's an idea. Throw the ball forwards. I'm sorry, there is no way I'm supporting a fucking game where the entire point is to get from this line to this line, and let's do it the most difficult way possible by not being able to throw it forwards. That makes no bloody sense whatsoever. Genuinely, it baffles me. I just don't get it. That's almost like the power walking in the Olympics. We want to get you from point A to point B, and we want you to go not as fast as you can, but not like super slow. We want you to get as quick as possible, but not in the fastest way possible. That makes no sense whatsoever. And for me, rugby's a lot like that. It's big guys hitting each other. Will I watch one-off games? Yeah, probably will. Especially if there's nothing else on, and from the pub, and I've got a pint in my hand, I'll pretty much watch anything. But will I go to a rugby game, despite the Newcastle Falcons recently relegated and maybe promoted, with Dean Richards, watch out for the blood, in charge of them? No, I won't. Even though you can drink on the stands, while lovely, is not enough to actually entice me to go see a rugby game, because I'll get kicked out. Because I'll shout handball all the time. I will shout, Atherginia, pass the ball bloody forwards, you idiots. So yeah, I would get the crap kicked out as a rugby game. But I don't get it as a sport, generally, to be honest. Plus, there's loads of different weird rules. There's different codes. There's rugby league and rugby union. Why? That would be like having a Premier League and then also a second Premier League, but they play with no corners and rush keeper. Look, rugby isn't a super popular sport. It's got fans, mainly in the kind of ex-colonial areas and Yorkshire, but does it have enough fans to survive two separate codes? I would say no. Looking at rugby attendances, rugby grounds, they're like 10,000 max. There's 67,000 people go to Old Trafford every 2 weeks. There's 50,000 idiotic Geordies who go and watch Newcastle get beat every 2 weeks. And that's because there isn't that kind of diversion of content. Pick a code and bloody stick with it. Another reason why I like football, and this is to insult all of American sports, is that goals mean something. So basketball, baseball, American football, you very rarely see a 1-0. And I love a 1-0. 1-0 is my favourite result. In those sports, it's really unexciting watching the first 5 minutes and watching the last 5 minutes because that's really only where it matters. Oh, basketball. Point. Boring. First 5 minutes exciting. You go, wow, this has been. You're like, oh, okay, you score. Right, blah, blah. And the last 5 minutes exciting because then somebody could win something. American football, I like American football. I'm going to go see the 49ers play in London in October. But, again, that's too many points. You're guaranteed goals. And baseball, you're basically guaranteed hits, or at least guaranteed runs. Whereas in football, you've got the majesty of a 1-0. Because all the way through a game, from minute 0 up to the 94th minute, it's the worst game ever. You're hating it, nothing's went right for your team, everyone's missed, there's injuries, and it's utter despair. But then, in the final minute of stoppage time, your striker pops up and scores a goal. And though the previous 93 minutes are rendered irrelevant, and your team has won. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. That edge, the tension that you simply don't get in high-scoring sports is what drives you. It's biting on your nails. It's edge of your seat. It's swearing and shouting and just getting so frustrated that you've got no idea what's going on. There's a helicopter outside for some unbeknownst reason. Hello, helicopter. So I love a 1-0. And it's at the same time, it's also horrible if you're on the other side. You're like, oh, great, we've done really well, we've kept them tight, 0-0, point, a decent result. And then, one of your defenders has fucked up. So you probably hear the helicopter now. One of your defenders has fucked up, and you've conceded a goal, and you've lost the game. You know what else is good about that? Football draws, where two teams have played against each other, and there's nothing to separate them. You know, you both can have a point. None of this bollocks. We'll just keep playing till we get a winner that you get in American sports. Let a draw happen. What's wrong with a draw? Who's going to be hurt by you saying, you know what? Fair enough. We tried our best. They tried our best. Let's just split the bounty. That's what cup games are for, to determine who should win at every time. But no, football should definitely have draws, and they should definitely have sneaky 1-0 wins. Not every game is going to be a 5-5 thriller. And you'd get bored if every game was a 5-5 thriller. It's the 0-0s that build up the expectation, as I said, the tension, just the kind of, like, it builds everything, and I said builds quite a lot there, but it means when you do score, it means something. Because if you've seen a game, or 3 or 4 games in a row, where your team haven't scored, because that's what can happen in football, when you do score, the relief, the excitement, all of that comes out. It means more because it doesn't happen all of the time. And that's something American sports simply don't understand. They feel people will only watch a game when there's like 20, at minimum 20 points on each side. And I simply don't get it. And yes, I understand there's thousands of problems with football. It's a billionaire's toy now for owners. Footballers are all millionaires who really don't care, and most of them are probably horrible people, and they probably spit on the fans if they can. But it's local, it's passionate, maybe it's even tribal. It scratches an itch deep inside me that thinks, you know what, we're special, and we're probably not. I'm sure every football fan thinks we're special. We represent this area and we're going to fight for it. And I'm going to shout as loud as I can because me shouting will help inspire that continental Frenchman on the ball to play better. Does he even hear the crowd? Probably not, to be honest. And even then, are the crowds particularly loud at any ground? Not really. People say it's Newcastle's quite a loud ground, but not so much when you're losing 3 or 4 or 5 games on the trot. So there's loads. It's horrible for football. The fact that the lower divisions get absolutely shafted for money-wise, and under the new kind of purchasing of young players, clubs whose entire legacy has been built on providing young players and getting the financial rewards for that are going to get shafted because they're going to get done by tribunals. And Sky, who were previously dominating the game and not giving anyone else a chance, have now been supplemented by BT Sport, who I don't have. And I'd like to watch as many games as possible, especially the BT Sport have all of the top games. So yes, I understand there's loads of problems, but football just keeps bringing you back. And I couldn't give a toss about major tournaments because my club is Newcastle United. That's the area that I'm from, and it may be because there's not a lot else around here to do. To be honest, there's no kind of other rival, like there's no like intercity rival clubs like you do with Everton, Liverpool, obviously the 2 Manchester clubs and the million London clubs. Kind of Newcastle, looking around, is quite a sparse area. So what do? We look inside. We put all our attention, all our love, all our desires, all our expectations on this football club, who probably couldn't care. It's sponsored by Wonga. It was the Sports Direct Arena. Does Newcastle as a concept care about a fan? Probably not, to be honest, but what football club does. But it's something that just brings you back. It's something, wow, I'm going to sign up for this. I mean, the fact that it's the Toon Army. The Army probably sounds right. It feels like I've been conscripted. But now that I'm in, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And fuck anyone who changes a football club. Your ass is grass. You're a person on grass. I'm not talking or being friends with anyone who's ever just say, you know what, as an adult, because fair enough when you're a kid, things change, but as an adult to go, you know what, I'm going to change the club that I've always supported. Fuck those people, because they don't belong anywhere. Those people you cannot trust. So football is awesome. It's 90 minutes. It's just a perfect length to have a few beers before, just about get through to half time before needing a toilet break, and then obviously you got the additional 45 minutes. At times, it's a boring game, but then when you do score, when you see an exciting game, it means all the more. And I just think that edge that football can bring is better than ice hockey and curling. I don't know why I just picked ice-related sports there, apologies. And that's what I like. The fact that there's so many different battles going on at the same time makes it interesting. It's not a turn-based sport like a basketball is, or baseball, or American football, where it's you have a go, we have a go. It's all moving at the same time. It's an intricate chess where every single piece is attacking space or attacking players all going on at once. And I love the complexity. Another thing I hate is the awful coverage on terrestrial television. It's like they've never seen a football game before. And I'm not saying I'm the super football expert, because clearly I'm not. Andrea Santos on my fantasy football team. But you could look into so many different layers and so much detail about a football game that will just keep you talking forever. I mean, there's a Sky Sports news channel which is on 24 hours a day, which basically only covers football. And yes, there's a lot of repetition, but could you imagine any other sport? Ooh, breaking news, Glamorgan have signed some dude from somewhere. Oh, nobody gives a shit. And basically my final argument is, look at the stats. Everyone goes to football. It's the most watched sport in the world. People turn up week on week, home and away, at huge numbers at great cost to watch their football team. And that, especially in England, is unrivaled in any other sport. Football, you can also basically play on your own. You don't even need a football to play football. you can play football with a can. Can you play any other sport? Don't worry, kids, we're going to have a small game of cricket. So you bring out the 2 bats, I'll get the bails, you set up an outbound, which is just bollocks. Oh, I'm just going to play some tennis. I'll go to the court, I'll set the net up, I'll get somebody else with a tennis racket. You can't do that. You know what, I'm going to football, I'm just going to kick a can around the streets. And that's why it's a working class sport. At least at a young level. Obviously now, as basically professionals, it's very much upper class billionaires play thing, but it speaks to the working class people because it's just something. It's something theirs. It's not something they intrinsically own, but it's something they feel that is theirs, and that's the feeling that I love, and basically that's why I love football.